Welcome to our channel, where every coin has a story to tell, and sometimes, that story is worth far more than you could ever imagine. Today, we begin our journey with a small yet fascinating piece of American history, the 1977 Roosevelt dime struck at the Denver Mint. At first glance, it may look like just another coin you'd find rattling around in pocket change, but hidden within its history and survival is a remarkable surprise waiting to be discovered. The Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for more than 3 decades by the time this particular coin was minted. First introduced in 1946, it honored President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a leader who guided the nation through some of its darkest times and whose connection to the March of Dimes made his portrait on the 10-cent piece deeply symbolic. For the American public, it was more than just currency, it was a tribute to a president who inspired resilience, courage, and progress. By 1977, the design had become part of everyday American life, so familiar that most people barely noticed it as they spent it on groceries, bus fares, payphones, or a quick cup of coffee. That year, millions of dimes rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint, each marked with the small D mint mark beneath the date. For the vast majority, their fate was simple: to circulate endlessly, to be passed from hand to hand, to slowly lose their shine as they fulfilled their purpose. They were handled by shopkeepers, students, travelers, and families, each dime carrying the silent history of ordinary lives. But within that ocean of ordinary coins, a select few stood apart, struck with exceptional clarity, preserved with extraordinary care, and destined to survive in near-perfect condition for decades to come. These are the coins that collectors dream of. Imagine stumbling upon a 1977 D dime that looks almost as if it had been minted yesterday. Roosevelt's profile gleams with striking sharpness, every strand of hair defined, the date and mint mark standing out with crisp precision. On the reverse, the torch rises boldly between the branches, its lines razor-sharp, its details untouched by time. A coin like this is no longer a simple dime, it is a time capsule, a window into 1977, frozen in brilliance. For most people, this dime remained nothing more than pocket change. But for collectors, condition is everything. The smallest details, luster, strike, and preservation, separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. While millions of worn examples exist, a coin that has survived more than 4 decades without a single blemish is truly extraordinary. And that is exactly what makes the 1977 D dime such an exciting discovery when found in superb mint state condition. The world of numismatics thrives on stories like this. Collectors know the thrill of searching through rolls of coins from the bank, the excitement of opening an old box tucked away in a relative's attic, or the anticipation of inspecting a coin inherited from a past generation. Every search carries the possibility of uncovering a hidden treasure, a coin that tells a much bigger story than its face value suggests. And sometimes, the discovery is so rare that it reshapes the way people look at an otherwise common year of coinage. That story reached its dramatic peak when one incredible example of the 1977 D Roosevelt dime appeared at auction. Unlike the millions of others struck that year, this piece was flawless in nearly every way. Its surfaces glistened with original mint luster, its strike was bold and complete, and its eye appeal left no doubt, it was a breathtaking survivor. Collectors and dealers in attendance instantly recognized its rarity, and the buzz around it grew louder with every passing moment. As the auctioneer began, the room filled with excitement. The bidding started modestly, but it didn't take long before the price began to climb. Hands were raised, bids were called out, and the atmosphere grew more intense with every increment. Each bidder knew that opportunities like this do not come often. They weren't just competing for a coin, they were competing for a piece of history, a symbol of survival, rarity, and perfection. What followed was a bidding war that transformed this humble dime into something extraordinary. The price leapt higher and higher, shocking those who had never looked twice at a 1977 dime before. Collectors pushed the limits, unwilling to back down, until finally, the gavel came down with the final hammer strike. That single 1977 D Roosevelt dime sold for an astonishing $86,000. From a humble 10 cents to a fortune that could change a life, it proved once again that treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for someone with knowledge, passion, and persistence to uncover them. So, the next time you come across a dime, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a second look, examine its shine, its details, its story. Because as history has shown us, even the smallest coins can carry the biggest surprises. And with that, we close the story of our first coin today, but stay tuned, because more hidden treasures are waiting to be revealed on this journey. Moving on to our second rare discovery today, we turn to a coin that often slips by unnoticed, yet has a story that captures the very heart of coin collecting, the 1990 Roosevelt dime struck at the Denver Mint. To most people, a dime from 1990 might not seem old enough or unusual enough to stand out. After all, it's a modern coin, one many of us still remember using in vending machines, laundromats, or even sliding into a payphone. But as collectors know, it's not always age that creates value. Sometimes, it's condition, rarity, and the pure luck of survival against all odds. The Roosevelt dime had already been a part of American pockets for nearly half a century by the time 1990 came around. Designed by John R. Sinnock in 1946, the coin was meant as a tribute to Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president whose leadership through the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting legacy. His connection to the March of Dimes made his portrait on the 10-cent piece deeply fitting. By the 1990s, though, the design was so common that people barely noticed it. It had become a silent companion of everyday life, tossed in change jars, forgotten in glove compartments, or dropped into tip jars without a second thought. And yet, as is often the case in the world of numismatics, what most people overlook can become something extraordinary. At the Denver Mint in 1990, millions of these coins were struck, each marked with the small D mintmark. They rolled out of the presses by the thousands, filling mint bags, moving across conveyor belts, clinking together as they were prepared for distribution across the country. The destiny of nearly all of them was simple: to circulate until their details wore down, until scratches, dirt, and time erased their brilliance. But fate doesn't treat all coins equally. A small fraction of those 1990 D dimes were different. They were struck with precision, their details perfectly sharp, their surfaces flawless. And through sheer luck, whether pulled from circulation immediately, placed in a collection by chance, or forgotten in a drawer, they survived in extraordinary condition. These survivors would one day shine as some of the rarest treasures of their time. What makes the 1990 D dime fascinating is its deceptive ordinariness. It doesn't come from a famous year. It's not a silver issue or an error coin that screams rarity at first glance. To the untrained eye, it looks no different from the dime you might hand over at a store today. But collectors know better. The value of this coin lies in the almost impossible survival of a perfect specimen, one where every strand of Roosevelt's hair is visible, where the fields gleam with untouched luster, and where the reverse design of the torch, olive branch, and oak branch stands out with breathtaking clarity. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand. The light dances across the surface, reflecting like a mirror. The edges are sharp and precise, as though the coin had never passed through a single transaction. It is not just a dime, it is a relic of craftsmanship, luck, and preservation, a coin that whispers of the year it was struck yet looks as if it could have left the mint yesterday. These are the coins that make collectors' hearts race. Some spend years searching through rolls from banks, carefully checking each coin with magnifiers. Others sift through inherited boxes of change, always hoping that one overlooked dime will be the hidden treasure. And every so often, one of these rare finds surfaces, sending ripples of excitement through the numismatic community. That was the case when one extraordinary 1990 D Roosevelt dime was presented at auction. Unlike the millions of others from its year, this one stood apart. Brilliant, untouched, nearly flawless, it had survived 3 decades without the wear and tear of circulation. Collectors who saw it instantly recognized its rarity. The anticipation in the room was palpable, everyone knew this was not just another modern dime. The auction began, and at first, the bids came in steadily. But soon, the competition grew fierce. Each new bid pushed the coin further into uncharted territory. The audience leaned forward, realizing they were witnessing something special. Bidders knew they might never again see a 1990 D dime of such caliber offered for sale. The tension mounted, the bids climbed higher, and the air was thick with excitement. And then, at last, the hammer fell. That single 1990 D Roosevelt dime sold for an astonishing $65,000. From just 10 cents to a sum that could buy a car, a year of college tuition, or even a down payment on a home, it was a reminder of how extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary of places. So before you pass along that ordinary dime in your change, take a second look. What seems like just another small coin could hold a story of history, and a hidden value, far greater than you'd expect. From the 1970s to the 1990s and beyond, coin collecting has shown us that even the tiniest finds can lead to remarkable rewards. And with that, we wrap up the journey of our second coin today, a shining reminder that no coin should ever be overlooked. Next up, we turn our attention to a dime that rarely finds itself in the spotlight, yet once you hear its story, you'll realize why it holds such fascination in the world of coin collecting, the 2002 Roosevelt D dime. At first glance, it seems perfectly ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, a design that has graced the 10-cent piece since 1946. Flip it over, and you'll find the timeless symbols we've come to expect, the torch of liberty flanked by the olive branch of peace and the oak branch of strength. For most people, it's nothing more than pocket change. But hidden within this very ordinary design lies a narrative that is anything but ordinary. The year 2002 wasn't marked by any great turning points in U.S. coinage. There were no commemorative issues, no experimental designs, no fanfare from the mint. The Denver Mint produced dimes by the millions, fulfilling their duty to keep American commerce flowing. These coins were handled casually, stuffed into vending machines, dropped into toll baskets, and tossed into coin jars without hesitation. Yet, the fascinating truth is that even in such an ordinary year, miracles of survival can happen. Among the endless sea of coins struck at the Denver Mint, a select few stood out, not because they were different in design, but because they somehow avoided the harsh journey of circulation. Instead of being spent and worn down, they remained as they were on the day they were minted, flawless, untouched, preserved in remarkable condition. It's almost as if fate set them aside, saving them for collectors who would one day marvel at their brilliance. This is where the magic of coin collecting comes alive. It's not always about ancient coins or key dates that everyone talks about. Sometimes, it's about recognizing the rarity hidden within the modern. The 2002 D Roosevelt dime challenges the assumption that newer coins can't be valuable. What sets it apart isn't its age or its design, but its condition, the way it has managed to stay as pristine as the moment it rolled off the minting press. Imagine holding one of these rare survivors. The surface gleams under the light, untouched by the scratches of pocket change or the wear of decades in circulation. Every strand of Roosevelt's hair is crisp and defined. The inscriptions shine boldly against the smooth, mirror-like fields. On the reverse, the torch, oak, and olive branch stand in perfect balance, each line and curve captured with sharp precision. It doesn't feel like you're holding a dime from 2002, it feels like you're holding a freshly struck piece of art. And that is precisely why collectors are so captivated by coins like this. They represent perfection preserved against the odds. Out of millions of ordinary examples, only a few manage to escape unscathed. That rarity creates a mystique, a sense that you're not just looking at money, you're looking at a miracle of survival. Collectors dedicate years to the hunt. They search through rolls from banks, sift through inherited collections, and attend auctions, hoping for that one chance discovery. It's this thrill of the unknown, the possibility that a hidden treasure could be sitting right in front of you, that fuels the passion. And in the case of the 2002 D Roosevelt dime, one of those miracles did indeed come to light. When a pristine example appeared at a major auction, it initially blended in with the catalog listings. After all, who gets excited over a dime from 2002? But the closer bidders looked, the more they realized this wasn't an ordinary coin. Its condition was nothing short of extraordinary, the kind of perfection that rarely surfaces even in modern issues. The atmosphere in the room shifted. What started as another routine lot suddenly became the highlight of the evening. The bidding began modestly, but soon the numbers started to climb. Collectors recognized they were witnessing something rare, perhaps once in a generation. Back and forth the bids went, each one higher than the last, until the room buzzed with energy. What had started life as a 10-cent piece was now the center of a fierce battle among numismatists eager to own it. Then, in a moment of silence broken only by the auctioneer's voice, the final gavel came down. That 2002 Denver minted dime, so unassuming to the untrained, sold for a jaw-dropping $41,000. Think about that transformation. From a coin that most people would drop into a soda machine without a second thought, to an object valued at $41,000. It's the kind of story that reminds us why coin collecting is so captivating. The extraordinary is often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with knowledge, patience, and vision to uncover it. This dime teaches an unforgettable lesson: rarity doesn't always come from centuries past. It doesn't always come with fanfare or historical significance. Sometimes, it comes quietly, in the form of a perfectly preserved modern coin that few ever thought to treasure. So, the next time you're handed a dime in change, take a closer look. It might seem ordinary, but history has shown us that the most astonishing treasures often were the most familiar faces. And who knows, maybe your next coin find could be the one that surprises the world. Now let's move on to the final treasure in today's lineup, the 2010 Roosevelt D dime. At first glance, this coin might seem just like any other dime you've handled countless times before, but the truth is, certain examples of this coin hide secrets that set them apart from the rest. Minted in Denver during a period when billions of coins were being struck for everyday commerce, the 2010 dime was meant to be nothing more than a workhorse of the economy. Most people wouldn't think twice about it. Yet, as history has shown us time and again, sometimes it's in the most ordinary years that the most extraordinary discoveries are made. The Denver Mint was known for its precision and efficiency, but no minting process is perfect. Within those countless dimes, anomalies sometimes slipped through, tiny variations, unexpected minting quirks, or coins struck with flawless perfection. These small details are what transform a dime from everyday change into a piece of numismatic history. With the 2010 Roosevelt D dime, it wasn't about age or rarity in numbers, but about condition and survival. Among the masses, a select few pieces emerged with razor-sharp strikes, brilliant unbroken luster, and immaculate surfaces untouched by circulation. Think about it, while millions of these dimes rattled through cash registers, sat in car cup holders, or disappeared into laundromats, a tiny handful remained pristine. These survivors, protected almost by chance, carry with them the story of improbability. And that's what makes them so compelling. They are not only coins, but survivors of time and circumstance. By 2010, coin collecting itself was evolving. More and more collectors began to turn their attention to modern issues, realizing that rarity isn't always about centuries-old coins. Instead, they saw value in high-grade survivors from recent years, coins that most people ignored. This shift brought attention to pieces like the 2010 Roosevelt D dime. What once seemed too modern to matter was suddenly at the center of competitive hunts and fierce bidding wars. Imagine stumbling across one in your own pocket change. At first glance, it blends in perfectly with the rest, but under the right light, the truth reveals itself. Roosevelt's portrait gleams with perfect clarity, every strand of hair perfectly defined. The inscriptions shine without a single scratch. Flip it over, and the reverse design, the torch of liberty, the oak of strength, the olive branch of peace, looks as though it had just left the coining press. It's not just a dime anymore, it's an artifact preserved in a state of near perfection. And this is the thrill of coin collecting. It's about the chase, the hope, the possibility that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting to be recognized. These aren't just coins, they are little time machines, carrying with them stories of survival against incredible odds. One of these remarkable 2010 Denver dimes eventually surfaced at a major auction, drawing the attention of experts and collectors alike. At first, it didn't command much excitement. After all, who could imagine a dime from just over a decade ago turning heads? But as the details were revealed, as the grading reports confirmed its stunning condition, the atmosphere changed. Collectors knew they were looking at something extraordinary. The bidding began modestly, but quickly, the numbers climbed. The room grew tense as bidders pushed higher and higher, each one unwilling to let go of the chance to own this unexpected marvel. What had once been overlooked as pocket change transformed, before everyone's eyes, into a centerpiece of modern numismatics. And finally, when the gavel came down, the result left the audience stunned. That ordinary-looking dime, struck in 2010 at the Denver Mint, sold for an astonishing $29,000. Yes, $29,000 for a coin that could have easily been mistaken for loose change in a car's ashtray. It's a powerful reminder of just how unpredictable this hobby can be. Sometimes the most recent, most unassuming coins turn out to be the ones that capture the most attention. The 2010 Roosevelt D-dime teaches us to never underestimate what we hold in our hands, because value doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it hides in the quiet, waiting for someone with the right eye to notice. And so, as we close today's journey through these remarkable dimes, let this final story linger with you. Every coin we touched on today carried more than just its face value, it carried a piece of history, a tale of chance, and the possibility of unexpected fortune. Keep checking your change, keep looking closely, because treasures aren't only tucked away in museums or sealed in private collections. They might be hiding in plain sight, slipping through your hands every day, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed exploring these fascinating coins, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss more stories of rare finds, hidden gems, and incredible discoveries in the world of numismatics. After all, the next great treasure might not be far away, it could be right in your pocket at this very moment.